The cameras flashed. The crowd froze. And just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, picture this. We're at the absolute peak of Paris Fashion Week. The room is buzzing, the music is, like, pulsing, and a supermodel steps onto the runway.
Right.
And over the next few minutes, in front of this blinding wall of camera flashes, a team literally sprays a dress onto her body.
The viral Coperni dress?
Exactly. The Coperni dress. It's glamorous, it's flawless, and it instantly becomes this defining moment in modern pop culture. I mean, it projects absolute perfection and invincibility.
But then you step away from the runway, you picture that exact same 29-year-old woman behind closed doors.
Yeah.
She has just slept for 11 hours straight. She wakes up, tries to walk to her kitchen, and is immediately gasping for breath.
It's wild. She tries to write like a single sentence in her journal.
Yeah.
But her brain feels utterly paralyzed.
Completely shut down.
Welcome to Starscope Report, where we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today, we're taking you on a deep dive into Bella Hadid's 15-year battle with Lyme disease. We're looking at pop culture disclosures, academic studies from King's College London, and medical data from LymeDisease.org.
Because to understand the massive gap between that glossy magazine cover and the brutal medical reality, you really have to look past the runway.
Right.
You have to dive down into the microscopic reality of tick-borne Borrelia bacteria and, the incredibly heavy toll it takes on the human body.
So recently, Bella posted these incredibly raw disclosures to her millions of followers. She detailed a severe flare-up of Lyme disease, which, she was actually diagnosed with back when she was just 16.
And that age, 16, that represents a profound loss of her early identity.
How so?
Well, before the runways, before all the modeling, her entire life plan was to ride horses competitively. She was an equestrian.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it went back that far.
Yeah. The physical onset of the disease completely derailed that trajectory. It ended her equestrian career before it really even began.
And the daily physical toll of what replaced it sounds like an absolute nightmare. I mean, in these posts, she talks about waking up with anxiety that is like literally living in her body.
Just a constant state of panic.
Right. She describes feeling intense physical pain before her feet even hit the floor in the morning. And she talks about this exhausting cycle. You fight, you research, you finally find a routine that seems to work, and then bam.
A flare-up comes out of nowhere.
Exactly. It ruins everything. You're back to canceling plans and just living in total uncertainty.
And that is the hallmark of chronic Lyme, that relentless cyclical nature. So Lyme disease is caused by the Borrelia burgdorferi bacteria, which is transmitted by a tick bite.
Okay.
But the reason it's so devastating and so incredibly difficult to treat comes down to how this specific bacteria operates. It's a spirochete.
A spirochete. What does that mean?
It basically means it's shaped like a corkscrew.
Ugh. That sounds terrible.
It is. This shape allows it to physically drill deep into tissue, into cartilage, and into your joints. It gets completely out of the bloodstream.
Where traditional antibiotics operate.
Exactly. And it also forms what are called biofilms.
Okay, so like a shield.
Pretty much. They are essentially sticky, protective shields the bacteria build around themselves. Your immune cells can't penetrate the shield, so the bacteria just lie dormant.
So you feel fine for a while.
Right. You feel fine for a few months, your routine is working, but the moment your immune system dips from stress or exhaustion, the bacteria break out of the biofilm, they multiply and trigger a massive inflammatory response.
That is the flare-up.
That's the flare-up. And if you add in co-infections, which are other tick-borne pathogens that often hitch a ride with Lyme, your immune system is basically fighting a multi-front war. It can never quite win.
I was trying to wrap my head around this constant, invisible exhaustion. And it made me think of owning a smartphone with a fundamentally broken battery.
Oh, that's a really good analogy.
Right. Like you leave it plugged into the wall all night. It says 100%, but the absolute second you unplug it and try to open an app, it instantly drains to 1%.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter how much you rest the phone, the internal hardware is compromised.
And the reason that internal battery won't charge in a chronic illness patient is because the cellular energy production is actually hijacked.
Wait, really?
Hijacked, yeah. The systemic inflammation damages the mitochondria, which are the powerhouses of your cells.
Okay, bring me back to high school biology.
Right. So you can sleep for 11 hours, as she described, but if your cells are physically incapable of converting fuel into energy because of that inflammatory response, The rest doesn't actually recharge you.
Which creates that severe isolation she wrote about.
Precisely. You look fine on the outside, but your internal battery is completely broken, leaving you fighting a battle no one else can see.
It's so sad. She actually apologized to her fans for worrying them with these tearful selfies she posted.
She shouldn't have to apologize for that.
I know. She said that on some days, just taking a shower without fainting feels like a really big accomplishment.
Wow.
I mean, the woman who just walked the Versace and Chanel runways is celebrating not passing out in the shower.
It really puts it in perspective. But wait till you hear what this disease actually did to her brain scans. Because the physical exhaustion is really only the outer layer of the condition.
Yeah, the sources highlight that the most horrifying aspect of this disease is what it does to the brain. Which brings us to the data we have from W Magazine.
This part is fascinating.
We are not just talking about feeling a little foggy. We are talking about visible physical changes in the brain. Bella shared SPECT scans of her brain during a Zoom seminar with Dr. Daniel Amen.
He's a very well-known psychiatrist and brain disorder specialist.
Right, and a SPECT scan, that's different from an MRI, isn't it?
Very different. An MRI looks at the physical structure of the brain, the anatomy. A SPECT scan looks at blood flow and activity patterns.
So it shows how the brain is actually functioning in real time.
Exactly. It's a functional scan.
Well, during what she called a rock bottom phase, these scans revealed areas of drastically low activity, specifically in her frontal lobe.
Which makes perfect sense medically.
And the way she described this brain fog on Instagram was so incredibly vivid. She said she couldn't even write in a journal because she didn't think she had a single brain cell working, and her last two brain cells were, quote, beefing with each other.
That is such a stark description, and scientifically, the frontal lobe is the control center for executive function.
So that's decision-making, focus, all that stuff.
Decision-making, emotional regulation, complex thought. When the systemic inflammation from Lyme disease restricts blood flow to the frontal lobe, it causes a condition called hypoperfusion.
Hypoperfusion, okay.
You literally lose the biological hardware required to organize your thoughts or regulate your mood. The beefing brain cells she described is a literal cognitive symptom of neurological inflammation.
The brain is starved of the blood and oxygen it needs to process information. So if your frontal lobe is physically deprived of blood flow, how do you even function in an environment as high pressure as the fashion industry?
You barely do. Or you find really unhealthy ways to cope.
Right. She was super honest about her survival tactics. She admitted that back in college, balancing a full day of school with a grueling casting schedule, she would come home and drink a bottle of wine a night just to cope.
Which is so common, but unfortunately, alcohol acts as a massive accelerant to the exact neurological problem she was facing.
It makes it worse.
Much worse. It increases the permeability of the blood-brain barrier.
Oh, wow. So more bad stuff gets in.
Exactly. It allows more inflammatory cytokines to enter the brain. It provides a temporary numbing effect, sure, but it essentially pours gasoline on the fire of neuroinflammation.
Making the brain fog and anxiety significantly worse the next day.
Exactly.
Well, if you're loving these Hollywood twists and the science behind them, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We've got even crazier stories ahead, and you don't want to miss them.
Definitely subscribe.
So she recognized that vicious cycle and completely pivoted. She did dry January, and she switched to taking GABA supplements for brain health.
And drinking euphorics, right?
Yes, which are adaptogenic drinks she actually co-founded.
The shift to GABA is biologically strategic. GABA stands for gamma-aminobutyric acid.
Say that 3 times fast.
I know, right? But it is the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain. Think of it as the brakes for your nervous system.
Okay, so applying the brakes.
Right. When Lyme disease causes neuroinflammation, the brain becomes hyper-excitable. That leads to the severe anxiety she mentioned living in her body.
So supplementing GABA attempts to manually apply the brakes to a nervous system that is stuck in overdrive.
Alongside those adaptogens that help regulate the body's stress response, yes.
Wait, I need to look at the bigger picture here for a second. Is this frontal lobe depression and severe anxiety purely biological? Like just caused by the Lyme disease bacteria?
Or is it the environment?
Yeah. Is it the result of existing in a brutally toxic, fast-paced, chronically sleep-deprived fashion industry?
It is the ultimate vicious cycle. You really cannot separate the two. The biological infection creates the baseline vulnerability, but the environment serves as the trigger.
Because the fashion industry demands relentless energy.
Constant travel, late-night events, perpetual perfection. This lifestyle keeps the body in a state of chronic stress.
So you're constantly pumping out cortisol.
Exactly. High cortisol levels suppress the immune system. And when the immune system is suppressed by the environment, the Borrelia bacteria hiding in those biofilms see an opportunity.
They break out and multiply.
Right. A high-stress environment is completely incompatible with an immune-compromised body.
Her environment was basically acting as poison for her specific condition, which forces a drastic life change. And later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming with her family dynamic.
The family element is huge.
It is. Because this disease has a ripple effect on her entire family. Both her brother, Anwar, and her mother, Yolanda, also suffer from Lyme disease.
The family dynamic is such a compelling layer because it isolates the one family member who isn't sick.
Right, Gigi. Her sister, Gigi Hadid, expressed a profound survivor's guilt in interviews.
It has to be so hard.
She talked about the emotional toll of being the one person who was healthy, feeling utterly helpless and unable to truly understand the daily pain her mother and siblings were experiencing.
And Yolanda's perspective, which was published on LymeDisease.org, paints just a devastating picture of a mother watching that pain.
She described Bella's struggle as in, quote, unknown hell.
That phrase gives me chills.
Writing that Bella didn't really live, she just existed inside the jail of her own paralyzed brain.
The jail of her paralyzed brain.
Yeah. It forced Yolanda to step into this fierce advocacy role. She called herself the CEO of my health, spending 15 years searching the globe for treatments.
And that phrase, the jail of her paralyzed brain, speaks directly to that frontal lobe hyperperfusion we just discussed.
Because the mind is physically trapped by inflammation.
Exactly. And when you're in that state, traditional healing isn't enough. It requires radical environmental change. You cannot heal in the exact same environment that is actively breaking you down.
Which explains the Great Escape. Bella didn't just take a long vacation. She walked away from the absolute height of her modeling career.
It was a massive pivot.
To me, this isn't just someone quitting a job. This is like a star athlete, like a LeBron James or a Serena Williams, retiring at the absolute peak of their physical prime because they know if they play one more season, they will permanently destroy their body.
The biological stakes were exactly that high. Society told her she was at the pinnacle of human achievement. You know, a famous, wealthy supermodel.
Right.
But her biology was shutting down. So she packed up, moved to Texas, and reconnected with her equestrian roots.
She found love with Aiden Banuelos.
And she launched Orella, her plant-based fragrance brand. She chose her biological survival over societal validation.
She said she is finally happy because she no longer has to put on a fake face. If she doesn't feel good, she just stays home. But here's the thing. She chose to make this exit incredibly loud.
She really did.
She didn't just quietly fade away to a ranch in Texas. She broadcasted the ugly reality of why she was leaving. She showed the IVs, the tears, the exhaustion.
And that decision shifts the narrative completely. It goes from a personal medical battle to a massive sociological event.
How so?
Well, there is a study from King's College London that examined the impact of celebrity disclosure on mental health-related stigma.
Okay, so looking at the actual data.
Exactly. The academic data shows that when a prominent figure openly broadcasts their vulnerabilities, it significantly reduces public stigma. It models positive help-seeking behavior, and it generates genuine openness in the broader culture.
I hear that, but I have to push back a little here for the listener.
Go for it.
I'm looking at this Texas ranch, the multi-year hiatus, and the out-of-pocket global 5E treatments. And I have to ask, how does seeing a billionaire model retreat to a mansion actually help a normal person?
That's a fair question.
Right. The average person suffering from chronic Lyme disease working at 9 to 5 cannot afford to take a single sick day, let alone fund 15 years of experimental therapies. Isn't there a massive disconnect between her reality and our reality?
Yes. The financial disparity is undeniable. Privilege absolutely dictates the level of medical care she received. But the sociological value, the stuff measured by the King's College study, it isn't about providing a medical blueprint.
So what is it about?
The value lies in the visual representation and the destruction of aesthetic perfection.
Oh, I see.
She is someone whose entire livelihood is built on selling an unattainable image. By posting photos of herself sobbing, unwashed, and connected to medical tubes, she actively de-weaponizes her own platform.
She takes the very images that make everyday people feel inadequate, the curated Instagram feed, and shatters them from the inside.
Exactly. She provides representation for the invisible, ugly reality of chronic pain in a space that usually denies it even exists.
And she was actually formally recognized for that disruption. She won the Michael Kors Award for mental health advocacy.
During her speech, she explicitly told the audience that social media is a curated lie.
She used her position at the top of the cultural hierarchy to validate the anxiety and exhaustion felt by the people at the bottom.
Because the destigmatization works precisely because the person revealing the ugly truth is the one society assumes has the most perfect life.
Wow. Let's just zoom out and look at the sheer distance covered in this deep dive today.
You've covered a lot.
We started with a microscopic Borrelia bacteria from a tick bite, corkscrewing into tissue and hiding in biofilms.
We saw how that pathogen hijacks cellular energy, spiraling into a grueling physical battle that led to actual visible hypoperfusion in the frontal lobe of her brain.
Then we tracked the necessity of a radical environmental shift, moving from a cortisol-drenched fashion industry to a quiet life in Texas to allow the immune system to finally recover.
And ultimately, we examine the cultural impact of a global icon using the destruction of her own glamorous image to destigmatize chronic illness.
It is a wild trajectory. If you want to keep following these incredible pop culture unboxings, make sure you subscribe to Starscope Report. We love having you on this journey with us.
Yes, definitely subscribe.
But before we wrap up today, we want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought to mull over. We've spent all this time looking at how much Bella Hadid had to change her life just to escape the toxicity of her industry and the glare of her phone screen.
And this raises a deeply provocative question about our collective baseline. If one of the most successful, wealthy, and privileged figures in the world had to completely abandon her high-status environment just to achieve basic biological and mental stability.
What does that say about the environments the rest of us tolerate?
Exactly. Are we, as a society, glorifying industries, relentless work ethics, and constantly connected digital lifestyles that are fundamentally incompatible with human biology?
It makes you wonder. We encourage you to take a close look at the environments you're forcing your own mind and body to endure. Because the next time you see a flawless, blinding image on your screen, whether it's a runway in Paris or just your friend's curated vacation post, remember the quiet room, the broken battery, and the invisible battles fighting for a breath.
Stay curious.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.